sometimes weak. Whether it's weak for money or weak for popularity, you just weak. Sometimes people will be holding folks down and they'll shit on you because of the popularity vote, or they'll shit on you because they gonna get some type of financial gain. And I know a lot of y'all gonna say this man bills need to be paid, and you know, if 50 wasn't gonna pay his bills, why he mad? Totally understand what you're saying. I can't tell you who to take money from, but a friend of my enemy ain't a friend of mine, and I can't with nobody who be trying to be friends with everybody. I don't play. Friend to everybody is a friend to no one, and y'all need to understand that. You gotta take money for somebody that they know you don't. They breaking bread with you every day, shows they don't have loyalty to nobody but they self. It don't make them a bad person, it just makes them forced self. A lot of people is forced self. So when you open up your heart and you be giving love and you be pouring into them and stuff like that, and you realize they forced self, that hurt, and it put you in a place to where you will just disconnect.
Loyalty sounds simple until it's tested. Imagine helping someone rise from nothing, giving them opportunities, investing your time, your money, and your trust, only for them to stand beside your biggest enemy. That's not just betrayal, that's war. And when it comes to war, 50 Cent doesn't play games. He's the kind of man who treats loyalty like currency. Once you spend it wrong, it's gone forever. So when Big Meech took money from Rick Ross, 50 didn't just cut him off. He sent a message to the entire industry. In his world, you're either with him or you're gone. If you ever find yourself walking down a dark alley and need someone who won't back down, 50 Cent is probably the kind of man you'd want by your side. He's loyal when he's with you. But if you end up on his bad side, you'd better be ready for a real fight. When 50 Cent decides you're his opponent, it's not just a disagreement. It's a full-blown campaign that tests your strength both mentally and physically. The man is relentless, plain and simple. Few people can go toe-to-toe with that kind of determination. That same intensity showed up in his falling out with Lil Meech. For a long time, 50 had looked out for the younger Meech like a mentor, helping him get into acting, paying for lessons, and opening doors that others couldn't. But things took a turn when Big Meech, Lil Meech's father, got out of prison. Though Big Meech and 50 Cent were initially on good terms, things soured when Big Meech reportedly accepted money from Rick Ross, one of 50's well-known rivals, to put on a concert. It didn't take long for 50 Cent to respond. He distanced himself from Lil Meech, went after Big Meech, and even managed to have the concert with Rick Ross cancelled. To outsiders, it looked like 50 turned on Lil Meech for no clear reason, but anyone who knows 50's world understands, loyalty means everything. And betrayal, no matter how small, doesn't go unanswered. Let's be honest. At first glance, it might seem a little harsh that Lil Meech ended up bearing the consequences of choices his father made. To many people watching from the outside, it looks unfair, even cold. How can a son be punished for something his father did? But if you look deeper into the dynamics of loyalty, reputation, and the world that both 50 Cent and the Meech family come from, you begin to see why things unfolded the way they did. 50 Cent has always been a man of principles, not the kind that bend easily under pressure, but the kind that define how he moves, who he trusts, and how he responds when that trust is tested. He's someone who built his empire not just through business deals and music, but through a carefully maintained image of control, dominance, and unwavering loyalty. For him, loyalty isn't a soft word. It's a currency, a rule, almost a form of religion. And that's exactly why, when it came to the situation with Big Meech and his son, there was no room for emotional exceptions. 50 Cent knew something that many people in the industry often forget. Blood ties will always run deeper than business relationships. No matter how much time, mentorship, or opportunity he gave Lil Meech, at the end of the day, a son's loyalty to his father will always win. That's not betrayal. That's human nature. But understanding that truth forced 50 to make a decision rooted not in feelings, but in self-protection. When Big Meech aligned himself, however indirectly, with Rick Ross, one of 50's most public and persistent rivals, that act was symbolic. It wasn't just about money or a concert, it represented a line being crossed. In the world 50 Cent operates in, lines like that can't remain blurry. There's no room for gray area. You're either with him or against him. Once Big Meech chose his path, 50 had no choice but to choose his. And unfortunately, that meant Lil Meech, who had done little wrong himself, became collateral damage in a much larger power play. To some, it looks ruthless. But to 50, it was necessary. Because in his eyes, if he continued to work with Lil Meech after that situation, it would send the wrong message, not just to the Meech family, but to the entire industry watching closely. It would say that disloyalty can be negotiated, that boundaries are flexible if the relationship is strong enough. That's not how 50 operates. Every decision he makes, especially when it comes to loyalty, has ripple effects. He knows that people in the entertainment business pay attention to how he handles conflicts. If he lets one slide, a dozen more will follow. It's also important to recognize the environment that shaped 50 Cent's thinking. He didn't rise to success in a place where mistakes were harmless. He came from a world where trust could cost you your life, and hesitation could make you a target. That kind of upbringing breeds a certain mindset, one where loyalty isn't just emotional, it's tactical. You don't give second chances easily because second chances can be used against you. So when people say 50 was too hard on Lil Meech, they are judging the move from a place of emotion. But 50 wasn't acting emotionally, he was acting strategically. He was protecting his name, his brand, and his message. He's not just an entertainer, he's a businessman who built an entire legacy on being unshakable. To stay that way, he can't afford to let anyone, no matter how close, create confusion about where he stands. And let's not forget, this wasn't just a small mentorship gone sour. 50 Cent had been instrumental in shaping Lil Meech's career. He gave him opportunities, funded his acting development, and helped open doors that might have taken years to find otherwise. In many ways, he helped transform Lil Meech from being the son of a legend into a name of his own. But when loyalty was tested, 50 had to look at the situation through the same lens he applies to everyone: no special treatment. The tragedy of it all is that Lil Meech probably didn't even have a say in most of it. He's caught between two powerful figures: his father, whose name carries in hip-hop and street culture, and 50 Cent, the man who helped him build his Hollywood path. It's an impossible position. On one hand, turning against your father is unthinkable. On the other, losing a mentor like 50 can derail your momentum. In a sense, Lil Meech became the embodiment of a timeless truth. Sometimes, loyalty to one person means losing another. From a distance, it's easy to label it as unfair. But when you step into 50's shoes, when you see how his reputation, his authority, and his boundaries are central to his success, you understand that this was about more than one relationship. It was about the message he sends to everyone connected to him. If you cross me, your circle will feel it too. It's not personal, it's principle. In 50's world, lines are drawn with permanence. Once someone crosses, there's no walking back. That's what makes him who he is, a man who doesn't just talk about loyalty, but enforces it, even when it costs him something personally. To him, that's leadership. To others, it might look cold. But to 50, it's clarity. So yes, Lil Meech became a casualty of that decision, not because 50 hated him, but because he represented the bridge between loyalty and betrayal. And bridges like that, in 50's philosophy, are too dangerous to keep standing. It's a hard truth, but a revealing one. In the end, 50 Cent's decision wasn't just about a show, a friendship, or even a family feud. It was about control, respect, and survival in an industry where your name is your armor. And for a man like 50, that armor can never show a single crack. The impact has been significant. The BMF show, once a successful collaboration, has now been cancelled after 4 years, leaving Lil Meech without that role or stability. Still, from 50's perspective, his response makes sense. In his world, loyalty is black and white. When lines are crossed, consequences follow. I'll be honest, when I was younger, I didn't see things that way. I used to believe it was fine to stay neutral. If my friend didn't like someone, that didn't mean I had to dislike them too. I thought relationships could stay separate, but life doesn't always work like that. When conflicts arise, you eventually have to take a stand. And if you choose the wrong side, you pay the price. That's exactly what 50 Cent did. He made his stance clear. From his point of view, if someone's father disrespects him and he still keeps the son close, it sends the wrong message. It implies that disrespect is acceptable, and that's something 50 would never tolerate. So, in his eyes, it became a matter of principle, a kind of war where no exceptions are made. I can even relate to that personally. Back home in Uganda, there's someone I used to be incredibly close with, someone I once called a brother. We weren't related by blood, but we shared a bond that felt unbreakable. We laughed together, hustled together, celebrated each other's small wins, and had those late-night talks about the future that make you feel like you've found your tribe. If you've ever had that kind of friendship, you know what I mean, the type that feels like family, where you do almost anything for the other person. But somewhere along the way, things went wrong. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was jealousy. Maybe it was just the way life tests people when money, success, or ego get involved. Whatever it was, that same brother I once trusted ended up disrespecting me in a way I couldn't ignore. It wasn't a small slight. It cut deep. Words were said, lines were crossed, and suddenly, that unbreakable bond snapped like it was made of glass. What hurt the most wasn't even the betrayal itself. It was what came afterward. I realized that the people around us, the ones who used to sit with both of us, were suddenly walking a tightrope. They didn't want to pick sides. They didn't want to lose access to either of us. And I get it. Nobody wants to be caught in the middle of someone else's feud. But when my so-called brother disrespected me publicly and my other friends still chose to keep hanging out with him, I had to face a hard truth. Not everyone who smiles in your face stands beside you when it counts. Even now, one of my friends still works with that guy. They do business together, share projects, post pictures, laugh it up like nothing ever happened. I've never told him to stop. I'm not the type to force loyalty or control someone's choices. But deep down, it changes how you see things. It's impossible not to notice who keeps their distance from your pain and who quietly keeps doors open to the people who caused it. That's the thing about loyalty. It's not just about grand gestures or dramatic moments. It's revealed in the smallest decisions. It's in who you defend when you're not around, whose name you keep clean when gossip starts flying, and whose trust you protect when no one's watching. Those little choices tell you everything about a person's character. In moments like that, you start to separate your real friends from your social ones, the people who are around you from the ones who are truly with you. And believe me, there's a difference. Some people just stand nearby. They like your energy, your success, your connections, maybe even your light, but they won't stand in the fire with you when things get hard. They'll nod sympathetically, but they'll still go have lunch with a person who disrespected you. When that happened, I took it as a lesson, a painful one, but a necessary one. I realized that boundaries aren't about being bitter, they're about self-respect. Forgiveness and boundaries can exist together. You can forgive someone for what they did, wish them peace, and still decide that they no longer deserve access to your life. Because forgiveness doesn't mean pretending like nothing happened. It just means you've chosen to move on without carrying their poison in your heart. And that's where a lot of people get it wrong. They think that setting boundaries or cutting ties makes you cold or unforgiving. But the truth is, it's one of the most powerful forms of self-preservation. It's how you protect your peace, your focus, and your growth. You can't build a healthy life when you're surrounded by people who are comfortable being neutral about your pain. In Ugandan culture, and really, across Africa, community means everything. We grow up believing in the value of brotherhood, of standing by one another through thick and thin. But even in that strong sense of unity, there's an unspoken truth. Not everyone raised around you is meant to walk your entire journey with you. Some are there for a chapter, not the whole book. And when that chapter ends, it's your responsibility to recognize it and turn the page. Looking back, I'm even grateful for that fallout. It taught me more about loyalty than any motivational speech or sermon ever could. It reminded me that loyalty isn't proven in calm waters, it's tested in storms. When everything's good, everyone's loyal. But when rumors spread, money gets tight, or disrespect enters the picture, that's when you really see who people are. I've learned to appreciate the few people who stood firm through it all. The ones who didn't flinch, didn't gossip, didn't need to play both sides. They didn't have to make a big show of their loyalty, they just stayed solid. Those people, I keep close. Those are my family now. And as for the others, I let them go, no bitterness attached. Because when you outgrow certain relationships, it doesn't always mean someone's bad. Sometimes, it just means your paths no longer align. Some people are lessons, not losses. So yes, when I talk about loyalty and boundaries, it's not just theory, it's personal. I've lived it. I've seen how messy loyalty can get when people are too afraid to take a stand. But I've also seen how peaceful life becomes when you finally draw your line and decide who deserves to be inside it. In moments like that, you really do learn who stands with you, and who just stands near you. One builds you up, the other drains you quietly. And learning the difference, that's how you grow, that's how you protect your energy, and that's how you make sure the next chapter of your life is written with people who truly have your back. I was always loyal to that person, genuinely loyal. But like the video said, sometimes people try so hard to please everyone that they end up pleasing no one. When someone's constantly trying to keep the peace and stay on good terms with everybody, it becomes impossible to trust them. Why? Because they don't have boundaries. And without boundaries, loyalty doesn't mean much. That's something I've learned the hard way. Real friends, real people, draw lines. They know who they stand with and what they stand for. But when you're surrounded by people who float between circles, acting cool with everyone, it gets messy fast. You start seeing them in person, and the energy just feels off, awkward, uncomfortable, fake. And at that point, there's only one thing left to do: cut ties. It's not about being mean or disrespectful. It's about protecting your peace. If someone can't respect your boundaries, they can't stay in your space. Simple as that. And if that means letting go of someone's son, so be it. Because at the end of the day, people will always be loyal to their blood, to their parents, their family, their roots. That kind of loyalty runs too deep for anyone to compete with, even someone like 50 Cent. Keeping Lil Meech around would have only led to bigger problems in the long run. It wasn't just about one young actor or a single television show, it was about the message being sent. When someone like 50 Cent, who has built his entire brand on strength, loyalty, and principle, chooses to overlook disloyalty, it creates a dangerous precedent. It suggests that certain lines can be crossed without consequence, that respect can be negotiated, and that loyalty is flexible depending on who's involved. But for 50 Cent, loyalty isn't flexible, it's absolute. It's black. Either you're with him or you're not. There's no middle, no gray area, no room for maybe. That's the code he's lived by since his earliest days in the streets, and it's the same code that's carried him through business, entertainment, and life. So, when the situation with Big Meech unfolded, when money in association with Rick Ross entered the picture, 50 saw it as a direct challenge, not just to his brand, but to his principles. By cutting Lil Meech off, 50 Cent wasn't being petty, he was sending a calculated message. He was saying to everyone in the industry, if you cross me, it won't just affect you, it'll ripple through your entire circle. Your family, your friends, your protégés, everyone connected to you will feel the consequences. In his world, loyalty doesn't stop at the individual. It extends outward, like a web. And when someone breaks that web, 50 doesn't just mend it quietly, he rebuilds it entirely, with stronger boundaries and fewer weak links. To outsiders, that might seem extreme or even vindictive. But when you understand 50 Cent's background, it starts to make sense. This is a man who came up in an environment where trust could get you killed, where alliances weren't just about friendship, they were about survival. Once you understand that, his approach to loyalty and betrayal becomes crystal clear. In his eyes, keeping Lil Meech close after Big Meech's actions would have looked like weakness, and weakness is something 50 Cent refuses to show. And let's be honest, in the entertainment industry, perception is everything. It's not just about who you are, it's about how you're seen. If 50 had continued working with Lil Meech after the situation with his father, it would have opened the door for others to test him, to see how far they could go before facing consequences. It's a domino effect. One small exception can destroy years of reputation building. So instead of letting that happen, 50 made an example. He turned a personal decision into a public lesson. Now, that move didn't just send shockwaves through Lil Meech's camp, it echoed across the entire entertainment scene. Everyone watching took note. Producers, artists, and executives alike saw that 50 doesn't just talk about loyalty, he enforces it. It became a reminder that in his world, actions have consequences, and association comes with accountability. That's why so many people respect him, even if they fear him a little. He's consistent. You may not agree with everything he does, but you always know where he stands. And that consistency, that firm stance, is what separates 50 Cent from so many others in the industry. A lot of people talk about principles and respect, but when it's time to choose between loyalty and opportunity, they fold. They choose money, fame, or convenience. 50, on the other hand, would rather burn bridges than compromise his values. And in doing so, he's built a legacy not just of success, but of integrity, a kind of integrity that's rare in a business that runs on fake smiles and temporary alliances. Still, it's important to recognize the other side of this story. Was it fair to Lil Meech? Maybe not entirely. After all, he didn't make his father's decisions. He didn't take the money from Rick Ross. He was simply caught in the crossfire of a feud much bigger than him. But that's what happens when loyalty is generational, when the actions of one person ripple down to those around them. In 50's eyes, it wasn't about punishing Lil Meech as a person, it was about protecting a principle. Harsh, yes, but clear. This situation also serves as a broader lesson for anyone watching from the sidelines. In life, and especially in business, you can't play both sides. You can't be everyone's friend. There comes a time when you have to decide who you stand with, and more importantly, what you stand for. Because when you try to keep the peace with everyone, you end up losing the trust of those who matter most. Boundaries aren't about division, they are about respect. And 50 Cent's approach, while ruthless at times, reinforces that truth better than most. By removing Lil Meech from his circle, 50 wasn't just ending a working relationship, he was reinforcing his code. He was reminding everyone that loyalty is currency, and once you devalue it, everything else you build starts to crumble. That's why his lasted so long in an industry where alliances shift like sand, because his foundation doesn't move. So, when 50 Cent says that your kids won't get the same doors opened if you cross him, it's not just a threat, it's a statement about legacy. It's about understanding that loyalty doesn't just protect you, it protects your name, your brand, and your future. And in his eyes, once that trust is broken, there's no rebuilding it. So, what do you all think? Was 50 Cent right for cutting ties? Or did he go too far? That's the conversation. Because in a world where everyone preaches forgiveness but very few practice loyalty, maybe 50's old school code is exactly what keeps him standing strong. It's your boy, Ashay Jackson, back again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. Appreciate all the support. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and hit that bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time, stay real, stay loyal, and remember, in this game, boundaries aren't weakness, they are power.